Hey Hunters, Halozoo here for another video about Dungeons & Dragons 5.5, my homebrew project that is a total rewrite of 5e, built from the ground up to hopefully be a better system overall, and looking through the different classes as I have updated it over the years, and this time it is a whole overall rework to be to take stuff from D&D 2024 and adapt it into the 5.5 project and various other things. So anyway, today we're talking about the Rogue, the penultimate class on the roster. I decided to save Ranger for last because I like it and I want to save the best for last, in my opinion. So we're doing Rogue first. So yeah, let's get into it. So anyway, at first level, we have our roguish guilds. So their subclasses are now called guilds. Just as a way to add some thematic flavor rather than just call them archetypes, which is just bland and boring. So yeah, they're guilds now. You've also got fighting styles now. So you get the initiate feature of the fighting style, because not only are they on Rogue, you also have up to 3 features from them. So at first level, you get the initiate feature. You also have sneak attack, because of course you do, expertise, and thieves' cant. So then at second level, we get cunning action, so as you'd expect, as well as rogue tricks. So these are a few new things that you can do that basically give you a few options to change up your tactics and get you going. Then at third level, we get a guild feature. Fourth level, ability score increase in a feat. Fifth, we have cunning strikes returning from D&D 2024. That has been added in here. And uncanny dodge, the classic. Sixth level, we get a guild feature and fighting style adept. So you get the second feature. And you actually get a guild feature way earlier than you did before. So yeah, you're not waiting forever for the second one. You just get it at 6th. It's that simple. 7th, we get evasion. So that pesky feature is back here. 7th, and then we also get the 4 skills for expertise. So you get the full expertise at 7th. 8th, ability score increase in a feat. 9th, we got reliable talent, but it is only a 6 by default. Might lower it further. I don't entirely know. And you also have a guild feature here as well. So as you got it before, you do have a feature here. It's just, it's not, oh, hey, you finally got a second feature. It's, oh, hey, another feature. After I already got my second. Okay. 10th, we got unerring sneak attack. 11th is devious strikes. So this is the upgraded cunning strikes. 12th, ability score increase and defeat, as you would expect. 13th, blind sense and a guild feature. 14th is expanded cunning strike, so you get more options now. And the fighting style master, fighting style adept was at 6th. 15th is slippery mind. 16th, ability score increase in a feat. 17th is true sneak attack, so your sneak attack hits even harder now. 18th is elusive and reliable talent, which sets it to 8. 19th, ability score increase in a feat. And last but not least, we got at 20th a guild feature and stroke of luck. So what about those core features? So hit points, d8 hit die per level, and as per the standard of 5.5, you add your con score to starting HP rather than just your modifier. So you get 8 plus con score HP to start with, and 5 plus con modifier HP per level beyond that. So proficiencies, you still got light armor. You get simple weapons, you get the hand crossbow, the rapier, the saber, the scimitar, and the short sword. So basically, So what the heck is a saber? It is a completely new weapon added, and all it is a rapier but slashing damage. So it is a D8 finesse weapon. So that's it. It's a rapier but slashing damage, and they similarly get scimitars so that they have the slashing short sword. So you have a bit more option in you have more options in terms of what damage type you're dealing. Also in tool, you actually get to pick 2 tools now. This is partly because Rogue has a lot of redundancy. For example, even in D&D 2024, it's like, well, in theory, criminal background would be the thematic choice, but you lose out on the tool proficiency because it's redundant with the rogue one. Now it's like, okay, you just pick 2 tools from the disguise kit, forgery kit, poisoner kit, and thieves tools. Pretty much 9 times out of 10, you'll have thieves tools unless you get it from somewhere else. Then for saving throws, you get dexterity and int. Or dex and int. So you got those. Skills, you get to pick 4 from acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth. So quite a list of skills. You also have weapon mastery. So this is a heavily modified version of it. So you have stances, which are the replacement to the normal ones. Basically, these are kind of what weapon mastery is in 2024, but it has been expanded to where they are now weapon agnostic, meaning that what your weapon is doesn't determine what you have. Instead, you can use any stance with any weapon with some restrictions applied. But it's mostly like, well, you can't use Nick unless the weapon is light. Otherwise, it does nothing. And some others will be there, but it's basically and like with cleave, it's like, well, you have to cleave with a melee weapon. Though there is a stance for ranged weapons that does basically the same thing of giving you some AoE, but on a ranged weapon. Then you have exploits, so ignore the prepared. I kept forgetting to reword that as well, but basically you learn exploits as a rogue. So these are your big daily abilities that you use stamina to cast at the highest rank of spell a half-caster would access. So you do lots of big things, and you get to do a lot of... basically, you have a challenge to spells now. Then we have, at first level, your Roguish Guild, the subclass stuff. Fighting styles. So you get the options between archery, dueling, 2-weapon fighting, blind fighting, and thrown weapon. And so you start with the initiate, then you get adept at 6th, and master at 14th. Then sneak attack, roughly the same as it was, basically. Basically, once per round when you hit with a weapon attack using a finesse, melee weapon, a ranged weapon, or a club. Though I might change that because I think I'm giving the club finesse by default, maybe. And you have advantage, deal extra damage for that type, as shown in sneak attack column on the progression table. And you can ignore the advantage requirement if there's at least one ally adjacent to the target, and it's not, that isn't incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage. Expertise, choose 2 skills and double your proficiency with them. And at 7th, you get to choose 2 more skills and tools to gain expertise in. And Thieves' Cant, you learn Thieves' Cant. That's it. They don't get an extra language proficiency anymore. That has been moved over to Bard and Wizard, because I just felt like it made more sense for them. Then Cunning Action, basically, as a bonus action, take the dodge, disengage, or hide action. As you'd expect. Now, rogue tricks. You'll notice that we have darting strike and steady aim. So steady aim has been moved here, but you'll also notice these are both move actions. So these replace your normal movement. Steady aim, basically you set your speed to 0. You can't dash on the same turn. But instead of moving, you give yourself advantage on the next ranged or thrown weapon attack you make this turn instead of moving. So it works basically as it did before. It just doesn't eat your bonus action either. So, for example, you can still hide or dodge as part of steady aim. Then darting strike, as a move action, can shift, aka move without provoking opportunity attacks, up to 10 feet and gain advantage on the next melee weapon attack you make against a creature in 5 feet of where you moved to this with the action. So basically you can now move up, just do a quick move around with the melee weapon, and this is now the melee option. So basically, instead of having one feature, one thing that worked for both, they now have two different abilities. So steady aim is you stand still with precision aim. Though actually with steady aim, I might say you can't use cunning action at all with it, but I don't know. Darting strike, though, you do a quick roll or something, or you tumble in, just lunge at an enemy and stab them. Though you can also slash and bonk now as well. Those are options, but mostly you're going to be stabbing. So, cunning strikes then, this is similar to how it was before. So, basically you can sacrifice sneak attack damage for a special effect. And if it has a saving throw, it uses your dex modifier. But a new ability, whenever you use one of these options, you can reduce the dice cost for one of the options by 1. And you can do this once per short or long rest. So, basically, once between rests, you can actually use one of the options for free without using the dice. And we also have 4 options. So there's poison. And all 4 of the basic ones are actually going to be 1 die sacrifice. So poison, roughly what it is before, has to make a con save, be poisoned for a minute. And it can repeat the saving throw to end it early. But you'll also notice the extra damage is now poison for your sneak attack. Why? Well, I feel like it just makes sense. It's like, wait, it doesn't do poison damage? So now it does do poison damage. And before you say, well, isn't that like a downgrade? Well, not really, because I don't really think there's any enemies that have ever been designed that were immune to being poisoned, or that were resistant / immune to poison damage, but weren't immune to being poisoned by the poisoned condition. So ultimately, if you're the times it would make it where your sneak attack does no damage or even more reduced damage, that's not really going to happen much because you probably weren't going to use it anyway, where it's like, why are you trying to poison an undead? It's immune to the poisoned condition anyway, so you're not using it on them. Same with fiends. It's like almost every enemy that is immune to poison damage is also immune to the condition, so it's like changing the damage type doesn't really matter because the immunities go hand in hand usually. But it's just a thematic thing of, yeah, it does poison damage because why not? Like, why wouldn't it? Then we have reposition, so the target is no more than one size larger than you. It has to make a strength save, or you can slide it up to 10 feet. So slide is just move in any direction, so you reposition the target. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm just going to move you over here now. Trip. If the target's no more than one size larger than you, must make a dex save or fall prone. And withdraw after the attack can shift 10 feet as a free action. So basically just dart to wherever you want. You could also use this with darting strike to basically lunge at an enemy, stab them, and then dart back to where you were. 5th level, we got Uncanny Dodge. So basically, if you're hit by an attack roll from a source you can see, take reaction, take half damage from that attack. Then 7th level, Evasion. Whenever you make a dex save against damage, take half damage on failure, none on success. What was the other thing they got there? Oh yeah, the extra expertises. Then Reliable Talent. Basically, whenever you roll a skill or tool check you have expertise in, you can choose to treat the d20 roll as a 6 instead of the number rolled. So it's not a 10 by default. I absolutely hate it being a 10 by default. Probably may even lower this further to be it starts at a 4 and then goes up. But really not a fan of the way it was, of how good it was before. Now it's like, okay, it's useful, but not overpowered. It's not, oh, well, I guess I just automatically win stealth checks, which is just stupid. 10th level, we got Unerring Sneak Attack. So whenever you make a weapon attack roll with advantage and miss, you deal half your sneak attack damage to the target. You can use this feature dex times, regaining 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and all uses when you finish a long rest. So basically, oh, oops. You somehow still miss with advantage? Okay. Still get sneak attack. Though I might make it where any attack where you can have sneak attack damage, you get to do it. But right now it's just with advantage. But yeah, I'll probably do that, actually, thinking about it. It's anytime you could get sneak attack, you can use this ability. Then we have Devious Strikes at 11th level. So basically, when you use Cunning Strikes, you can choose 2 different options instead of just 1. But you reduce the sneak attack damage dice by the total cost of both options combined. So yeah. Basically, what it was before, just specifically named something else. Then Blind Sense at 13th level. You're always aware of invisible and hidden creatures in 10 feet of you. But if you have blind fighting style, you double the range of the senses it gives you. So, like, literally at the next level, you will have 20 feet of true sight. Because their final feature is actually you get true sight. Just because, like, oh yeah, you don't need to see. But basically, it's just a modification of, hey, you get fighting styles. Oh, wait, you can get blind fighting. Okay, it works with that. There's a workaround for it. Then 14th, we got Expanded Cunning Strikes. So we got 3 more options you get access to. Daze, where basically target must make a con save or be dazed till the start of your next turn. And that costs 2 dice. Then Knockout for 6 dice. Basically has to make a con save or be unconscious for 1 minute till it takes damage. But it can repeat the saving throw each turn. Then Blind for 3 dice. Basically make a dex save or be blinded till the end of your next turn. So, yeah, some nice control options there. Then 15th, we got Slippery Mind. So you add half your proficiency bonus to Charisma and Wisdom saves if you aren't already proficient in them. So basically, oh yeah, you've got lesser proficiency in them if you need it. 17th, though, True Sneak Attack. When you roll sneak attacks damage, can instead treat the damage as half the total you can deal instead of what you rolled. Once you use this feature, can't use again until you finish a long rest. So basically, hey, you rolled bad? Okay. Use half the maximum result. So, at 17th level, this means you deal 27 damage. It's like, oh, you rolled all 1s? Okay. I did 27 to you anyway. And then this becomes 30 at 19th level. 18th, we get elusive, so attack rolls can't have advantage against you unless you're incapacitated. And whenever you shift, you can shift an additional 5 feet. So basically, if you use just in the default rogue toolkit, rogue darting strike or withdraw, hey, you move 15 feet with that shift. Though others may or may not be available. Just added onto it to be like, oh, hey, here's another bonus for you. So it's not just kind of meh. Then 20th level, Stroke of Luck. Whenever you fail a d20 roll, you can instead treat it as a natural 20, and you have 2 uses per day. So yeah, just, oh, a nat 1? Oh, never mind, that's nat 20. So then we have the guilds. So, done some work with these. You'll notice that at 6th level, they have an extra damage feature. So those are all, quote unquote, new things. New to the rogues getting them, but other than that, we'll see what they get. So let's go. So the Thief Guild, so you get an additional proficiency, but it has to be acrobatics, athletics, or sleight of hand. So basically, hey, you're better at stealing stuff and climbing and jumping and stuff. Yeah, it makes sense. Then we have second story work, as you'd expect. So you have a climb speed equal to your walking speed, and add your dexterity modifier to the distance and height of jumps you make. Then at first level, we also have the new quick snag. So basically, you can hide a single weapon on you that can be reasonably hidden, such as a light weapon. And you can draw this weapon as part of the attack action. When you do so, attack roll has advantage. Can't gain advantage this way until you roll initiative again. You can also draw potions as part of the action to use them. So you still have the potion shenanigans. So if you want to use Alchemist Fire, you don't have to draw it with the draw or stow action. Instead, you can just draw and throw it as part of one action. So they automatically have that. Whereas everyone else still needs to adhere to the draw and stow rules. Rogues say, oh, yeah. Or Thief Rogue says, yeah, no. I'm just going to do it. Third level, we got Fast Hands, so you can use Cunning Action to make a Sleight of Hands check. Use Thieves' Tools or use an object, so basically you can do stuff as a bonus action now. Extra Attack at 6th level. I just decided for their extra damage, it's like, okay, you're all about being fast with your hands and stuff. Well, what if you're also faster at attacking now as well? So it's with that theme of speed being part of them, I felt like, okay, they should have extra attack. 9th level, they actually have the old Supreme Sneak right now. Might change this to the new one, but I'm kind of happy with the old one too. Basically, you have advantage on stealth checks as long as you don't move more than half your speed that turn. And enemies have -2 AC against your attack rolls and -2 on saving throws from your abilities if you're hidden from them. So basically, while you're hidden, you're even more effective against them. So that's been tacked onto it as well. 13th, we get Use Magic Device. And you ignore almost all prerequisites to use magic items. If an item ability requires a certain feature you don't have, can't use that item ability. And you can attune to up to 2 additional magic items, so you get 5 instead of 3. So, yeah, you just, oh, hey, I can use any magic item I want now. Haha. 20th then, Thief's Reflexes. After your first turn encounter, take a second turn at your initiative, -10. Any effects that would normally last until the start or end of your next turn don't end on this extra turn and instead end with your next turn after it. So, yeah, it's the capstone you expect, but it's still cool. Then we have the Assassin Guild. So you get Disguise Kit and Poisoner Kit for free. Might change this to just one or the other. Just to mitigate the redundancy issue. So, for example, if you got but oh well. Then we also have Assassinate, as you'd expect. Have advantage on attack rolls against creatures that haven't acted in encounter yet. Weapon attacks that hit such target deal extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus plus rogue level. So just +3 at first, but that gets big fast. Then Disguise Adept, so you add your proficiency bonus to any check to identify a disguise or find items for disguise. So you're just able to find stuff to disguise yourself with much easier. You can make a disguise for 3/4 the normal price to purchase necessary materials, and you also add half your proficiency bonus to weapon attack rolls with weapons you aren't proficient with, and have half the speed penalty for wearing armor without proficiency. So basically, the whole idea here is you're able to kind of improvise with weapons you normally wouldn't be able to wield. So for example, if you're trying to disguise as a guy who uses a longsword, well, it would be kind of weird if you're just, oh, well, that guy's obviously terrible. You're able to kind of mask it a little bit. You're not proficiency with all weapons, of course, but you do have a lesser penalty for using stuff without proficiency. Then at 3rd level, we get Poison Familiarity. So you have resistance to poison damage, or immunity if your race grants you poison resistance. And you have advantage on checks to identify poisons. And you can use Cunning Action to apply poisons to your weapons and ammunition as a free action once per round. So basically just once per round, boom, poisoned. Then at 3rd level, we also have Quick to Act. So that's just the advantage on initiative rolls. Then at 6th, we have Envenomed Weapons. So whenever you deal sneak attack damage, you can change its damage type to acid, bleed, or poison damage, in addition to their other types. And when you use the poison cunning strike option, target takes d6 damage to the types you dealt with the sneak attack when it fails the saving throw on its turn. So basically, it turns poisoned into a dot now. And the save DC for poisons you apply to your weapons is either its normal save DC or your cunning strikes DC, whichever is higher. So if your cunning strikes is better, oh hey, it uses that DC. How convenient. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can use Poisoner's Kit to create up to your dexterity modifier assassin poisons. And you can create one simple poison whenever you finish, or one assassin poison whenever you finish a short rest. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can use an assassin poison. And force target to make a con save or take d6 acid, bleed, or poison damage. Half that on success. And at 13th level, your assassin poisons deal 2d6 damage. So basically, you just get a little poison that you get to apply. 9th level, we got Infiltration Expertise. So it's Infiltration Expertise. And you'll notice that it's still split from Imposter. It's just, hey, there's another 9th level feature. Whenever you deal acid, bleed, or poison damage, you can deal damage of all 3 types instead. So basically, your assassin poison is now acid, bleed, and poison damage. As it's basically now a dissolving poison that is also an anticoagulant. Then Imposter. It's Imposter. 13th is also where we get Assassination Expertise. So you can score a critical hit with a weapon attack on a roll 1 lower than normal. Creatures who haven't acted in combat yet have -2 AC against your attack. So basically, hey, your Assassinate's even better, and you get more crits. Then 20th, Death Strike. Whenever you deal sneak attack damage on your first turn in combat, or score a critical hit, targeted that attack must make a con save, versus your Cunning Strike save DC, or automatically take maximum damage from that attack, plus 5d6 extra damage. So, just a lot of damage now. It's like, oh, hello, have a ton of crit damage. Then we got the Arcane Trickster Guild. So, at first level, you get proficiency in Arcana History for free, and we get Spellcasting. So, There are a few tweaks. Notably, you can use a dagger as a spellcasting focus. Just a reference to kind of the dagger spell mage stuff that used to exist. Plus, it's just cool. And their spell list, they use the wizard list. But you're not beholden to picking any particular schools of spells. You could pick abjuration and evocation spells if you want, conjuration and necromancy, divination and transmutation. Or you can actually go for enchantment and illusion still. You're just not restricted to that choice. And of course, you learn spells, and you go from first to fourth as a kind of 1/3 caster. So you get the higher levels, higher rank spells at 6th, 11th, and 15th. So at first level, you also get Mage Hand for free, so it's no longer counted as one of your cantrips. It's just, oh hey, you get Mage Hand as part of Mage Hand Legend Domain. And when you conjure a Mage Hand, you can make it invisible and use it to make sleight of hand check and use Thieves' Tools. So basically, the shenanigans you expect from it. Then at 3rd, we get Cunning Spells, which basically says, hey, you can use Cunning Action to cast any cantrip that doesn't deal damage or grant resistance and advantage. And it can also be used to control lingering spell effects like Mage Hand or illusions. So basically, if you have an illusion active, oh hey, I can do stuff with it as a bonus action now. And your Darting Strike can also affect melee spell attacks, and Steady Aim can affect your ranged spell attacks. So basically, hey, you can use these with spells now. 6th, we get Spell Strike. So you can use Sneak Attack with direct damage cantrips. And you can also change the damage type of Sneak Attack to Force, Necrotic, or Psychic damage. When you cast the spell as a standard action, you can make a weapon attack as part of that action. So basically, oh hey, I cast, let's say Magic Missile. Oh hey, I get to stab somebody now. 9th level, we got Magical Ambush. When you force a creature to make a saving throw and have advantage against them, you can choose to make the target have disadvantage on the saving throw, treating it as if you made an attack roll with advantage for other features and abilities, aka Sneak Attack. Then at 9th, this is now where Spell Thief is. So you have a new Cunning Strike option, and immediately after a creature casts a spell that targets you or includes you in its area of effect, you can use your reaction to activate this Cunning Strike option as if you dealt sneak attack damage to it. Also negating the spell's effect on you if they fail the saving throw. Do note this does not negate on anyone else. It's just you. So if you get hit by a fireball and do this, everyone else still gets fireballed. You just yoink the spell. But what does Spell Steal do? Basically, it costs 1 die plus an additional die per rank of the spell named. So basically, you choose a spell that you're attempting to steal, and you take dice equal to its spell rank and go from there. Basically, it has to make a spellcasting saving throw against your spell save DC. So essentially, a spellcasting save is just using your spellcasting modifier. And on a failure, name a spell and steal the knowledge of that spell if they know or prepared it, and is of a rank you can cast. But it doesn't need to be a wizard spell. So you can just, oh hey, I'm gonna get your, let's say, so at 9th level you have 2nd rank spells. Let's say you go for their Shatter. It's like, oh hey, I steal it. But if the spell named is one they don't know or prepared, steal another spell instead. That's of the same rank at least. For next hour, you know the spell and can cast it using your spell slots, and once without expending a spell slot unless it's a cantrip. If it's a cantrip, cast it at will for the duration. And the creature can't cast that spell until the hour has passed. If the creature currently has it the stolen spell active, they automatically end the spell. So basically, let's say a cleric has a pesky Spirit Guardians out, and you decide to spell steal said Spirit Guardians. If you successfully steal it, then, oh hey, you lost your Spirit Guardians. And oh great, I get to cast it now. But once you successfully steal a spell first rank or higher with this feature, can't use it to steal another spell first rank or higher until you finish a long rest. So basically, just once per day, you get a spell first rank or higher. Otherwise, you're stuck with cantrips. But basically, just a, hey, you get to steal spells more often now. Then at 13th, whenever you use the reposition and or trip cunning strike options, while you have a mage hand active, you can target a creature in 5 feet of your mage hand with one of those cunning strike options instead of using it on the target of the triggering attack. So basically, it's pretty much the feature before, but do note it can only do one of the two. So if you use Diva Strikes and do both, you can only do one through the mage hand, not both. So the mage hand can't reposition and trip, it can only reposition or trip while you do the other. Then their capstone is now Spell Heist, and you can steal spells of any spell rank, but you can use the free cast if it's of 5th rank or higher. So basically, if you get a high rank spell that you can't normally cast, well, you gotta use the free cast only. And you can use it up to your intelligence modifiers per day on spells of 1st rank or higher, and regain all expended uses on a long rest. So basically, you have more uses of spell steal. And you're able to steal any spell you want. And then last but not least is the Swashbuckler Guild. So I'll be honest. And fun fact, actually, this was actually voted by people on a D&D Discord I'm on, where I asked, hey, which one do you think should be the 4th rogue subclass? Because I'm not doing Soul Knife, because Soul Knife is joining the subclass Graveyard, sadly. For reference, the main issues it faces is that, I mean, it's numerous, actually, but 1, there's a new psionic system, and it doesn't really fall in that psionic system, thus it would have to be reworked to work within the psionic system I'm working with. 2, its gimmick is taken over by a whole class, where the whole gimmick of, oh hey, I make a weapon of energy, is something done by the Mistblade. Also, there is a new spell called Phantom Blade on the wizard and stuff that is an illusion cantrip that summons an illusory dagger that you can stab people with. So you can also, it has redundancy with Arcane Trickster, where you can make a character with a very similar toolkit to what Soul Knife has, except in some ways better, as, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but an Arcane Trickster with Misty Step is going to be way better at teleporting than any Soul Knife ever will be, unless they're just really lucky all the time, because, oh my gosh, is that teleport stupid, because it's random. So you can get a lot of similar stuff with an Arcane Trickster. So it's ultimately like, okay, well, it's got all these problems, and I've also decided that I do have plans to do a new psionic rogue, but I'm going to have it be more generic, kind of more like Arcane Trickster, but psionic, at a base level at least, where it has a similar idea of, oh hey, you're a rogue with a bit of mystical stuff mixed in, but It's going to be the Lurk, actually. So that one, which was basically a psionic rogue option that you had in 3rd edition, because instead of subclasses, they just added more and more and more or more and more classes, to the point of bloating the system beyond a doubt. But also, I will say, there might be a new Soul Knife, but it will actually be on a different class called the Talaris, who is the half psionics class, and it would actually be an interpretation of the 3rd edition Soul Knife brought into 5th edition. So basically, TLDR, I've just decided it'd be more interesting to go other directions with the stuff. So it's dead, and I decided, hey, I'll just ask the Discord, which do you think should be the 4th rogue subclass between Inquisitive, Mastermind, and Swashbuckler, with Scout being excluded because I feel like it's too redundant with Ranger. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to mess with that. And Swashbuckler won, so it's here. Now, tangent aside, let's look at what the Swashbuckler gets. So this started as, oh yeah, this will be simple, just kind of update what we saw in the playtest, except remove 2 of the alternate cunning strikes that I felt were better for Mastermind, with the charm and buff your allies options. But then it quickly became a very new subclass with Fancy Footwork and Rakish Audacity tacked onto it. But first off, you'll notice Swashbuckler's Endurance. So your max HP is increased by +1 per rogue level, and you use Charisma instead of Con for HP regain with hit dice. So yeah, you're just tougher. As the Swashbuckler is kind of intended to be more of a melee build, which we'll see more of as we go on, but it's kind of become a melee duelist that is an off-tank of sorts. You also have Fancy Footwork. Basically, whenever you make a melee weapon attack against a creature, you have +2 AC against their attacks, and they can't make opportunity attacks against you until the start of your next turn. So this basically comes with a, oh hey, you just have a bonus to all defense. So you have a actual direct defensive boost against him as well. It's not just, oh, I can get away from him now. It's like, oh, I've also got extra armor class on him now. Then we have Rakish Audacity. So you add half your charisma modifier rounded up to initiative rolls instead of just flat plus charisma, which was maybe a bit too good. You also gain the bonus to sneak attack when the target of the attack is the only creature in 5 feet of you, and you don't have disadvantage. So basically, oh hey, he's the only guy next to me. All right, I get sneak attack. Then at 3rd is the new Throw the Gauntlet feature. So this is a whole silly thing that has come out of this. Basically, you challenge somebody to a duel. So use a bonus action and choose a creature in 30 feet of you that can see and or hear you. And you challenge them for up to 1 minute, or until one of you is incapacitated, or use the feature against another creature. While the challenge is active, you and the target gain +2 on attack rolls against each other, and you have disadvantage on attacks that don't target the other, and have -2 on the save DC of effects that don't include the other as a target. So basically, you're both taunted to each other. So you have bonuses to attack each other, and penalties to do anything to anyone else. And before you're like, oh, well, rogues are squishy. Why would they give them an attack roll bonus? Oh, wait, this is exactly the same as Fancy Footwork, so they don't really get that attack roll bonus, do they? So now it's like, oh, hey, yeah, you're more accurate against me, but I got ways to equalize the bonus. And effectively negate their bonus, but they still have the penalty. And then they also have extra attack, just like the thief, because it just felt right. They're more of a rogue mixed with fighter type build, so it makes sense. And it felt right for the duelist of, yeah, you're kind of the direct combat specialist, so you just, yeah, you get extra attack. That's simple enough. Then at ninth, we get Panache, which is entirely different now. So while you have a challenge from Throw the Gauntlet active, you have +1 AC against attacks from creatures other than the target, and damage dealt to you by that target is reduced by your Charisma modifier. So basically, you take less damage from the target of the Throw the Gauntlet, and anyone else, you just have a slight AC boost against them. Then 13th, we got Dashing Flourishes, so get 2 more Cunning Strike options, just as you did before, but they're completely new. First, we got Challenger's Flourish for 3 dice, so if the target of the attack is affected by your Throw the Gauntlet, so basically if they're the one you challenged, you get to make an additional extra attack against them as part of the action, so trade 3 sneak attack dice for an extra attack. Then we got Blade Dance as well, which is a bit of an interesting one. So basically, you have to spend at least 2 dice on it. And then, for each creature in your melee reach, other than the target, so this is a cleave ability, they get to make a dex save, or they take d6 damage of the triggering attack's type. So if you're, say, using a saber, you deal slashing damage. If it's a rapier, you deal piercing damage. But the damage is 1d6 for every 2 sneak attack damage sacrificed. So if you sacrifice 2 dice, you deal 1d6 damage. If you sacrifice 4 dice, you deal 2d6 damage, etc., etc. So basically, you trade sneak attack damage for cleave, is the idea. So you've got some interesting options there. Then 20th is Master Duelist. So first off, we got Lethal Flourishes, which is just, yeah, you deal an extra plus charisma damage on attacks that hit the target of your challenge from Throw the Gauntlet. So, yeah, simple enough. And then we have Refuse to Die, which is totally not a movie reference and totally not designed for you to say cheesy one-liners and quote movies and stuff. But basically, when you would drop to 0 HP but aren't killed immediately, you don't fall unconscious as long as the target of your challenge isn't dead. Also, these are while Throw the Gauntlet's active, of course. So, basically, if the target of the challenge isn't dead or incapacitated, you don't fall unconscious, and you add your Charisma modifier to your death saving throws. If you drop the target of your challenge to 0 HP or incapacitate them, you immediately fall unconscious, but you're stable. Then, if another creature drops them to 0 HP or incapacitates them, you fall unconscious and roll death saves as normal with the plus charisma bonus. So, even though it would be inactive, you still get the bonus. But if your Throw the Gauntlet ends before either of you die or get incapacitated, so basically if you and the target are both quote-unquote alive, to some degree, at the end of the Throw the Gauntlet, you fall unconscious and immediately fail a death save. With the idea behind that of, oh, you failed. Okay. You get a penalty. Though I might also specify that you're no longer stable if you were already. So if you stabilized before, you're not stable now. But yeah, basically just while you have the challenge active, you just refuse to die. You're not going down until it's like, I might go down, but I am taking you with me, sucker. And all sorts of cheesiness. But without further ado, I hope you've enjoyed this look into Dungeons & Dragons 5.5. Stay tuned for the final video at long last with the Ranger coming later today. And you're also welcome to go check out the other 10 videos if you haven't already for some reason. But without further ado, I will see y'all next time. Halo Zoo, out.